name is Nikolai Yusupov, and in this video, I'd like to show you different rhythm generators. You see a lot of different ones, so I'm going to explain every single one of them and how to use them properly. I'm also going to explain the advantages and limitations of all of them and the scenarios when best to employ it. So I'm going to start first with SYMBIO CS1201. So I'm going to put all this aside, and I'm going to explain to you thoroughly how to employ all these devices so that whenever you're conducting a station, you are familiar and know how to use them. I'm also going to link the PDF to these instructions. This is basically an instructor manual how to employ this device, and I urge you to read it thoroughly. So I'll put the link in the description to this PDF. So here I have a rhythm generator, and it's connected to my monitor. So here on the side, you will see that it has connection to your precordial leads. So you have your 12 lead EKG here, V1 through V6, and here you have your limb leads, right? In the back of the unit, it's connected to the monitor, and this is our system to essentially provide electrical therapy via defibrillation or synchronized cardioversion. Be cognizant that if you're using this device with MRX Philips, you do not need an adapter. However, if you were going to employ a LifePak 12, you notice, right, the connection here is different, right? So how would you accommodate this device? Very simple. You take this adapter and you're going to connect it like so, right? Once this is connected, you're able to connect it to your LifePak. So this will be the connection to your LifePak device. So you basically need this yellow adapter to interconvert. So we'll get back to this in a moment. Right, so I am connected to my defibrillator pads, right? So one of the disadvantages is you can already see is that if you're employing this device, you cannot train the student to use anatomical landmarks to essentially place a 12 lead EKG on the patient. You also do not see them placing the limb leads, and you do not see them placing the pads on the patient. A very common mistake I see when we're doing dynamic cardiology testing is that students will come in, they'll put the quick pad on the patient, and they'll fail to put the limb leads on the patient. And the problem with this is these monitors cannot both sense and provide electrical therapy through paddles alone. So what they will often say is your equipment is faulty or it's malfunctioning. And the answer to that is not. It's that you need to apply both the limb leads and the ECG pads in order to provide electrical therapy, because this cannot sense and provide electrical therapy through this alone. So you need these devices to read the rhythm, provide electrical therapy. Now, if you're using a mannequin like this one, right, you could explain this to the students and see them apply these leads appropriately. On this device, you are unable to do so. And I'll show you some of the tricks, how can you essentially employ this device and still have the students essentially have the benefit of that. So what you can do is that you could have from another monitor, you could basically take some cables, right, for your pads and for your ECG leads, and you could kind of hide them right in your monitor. These are not connected to your pad, but you could see how the students are applying this so that at least get that psychomotor motion of applying the limb leads. All right, so now how does this device work, and what's the purpose of this device? So the purpose of this device is essentially I can teach a student how to use the monitor and all its features to defibrillate, to perform synchronized cardioversion, and to conduct pacing, all with this device. And also the benefit of this device, the CS1201, is that it can print a 12 lead EKG. So that's very good for the students, so they know which buttons to press and see the actual 12 lead. You definitely need a printer paper, right, for conducting 12 lead ECG. Always have these in stock. So it's different type of paper for your Philips versus your LifePak. Make sure you have both types of papers whenever you are wanting to perform 12 lead ECG. All right, so let me show you the controls. So here on the front, you'll see all the rhythms, and they are abbreviated. If you want to see the full breakdown, you'll basically look at the manual, and it will tell you the specific breakdowns. In addition to, you notice, right, it will tell you the preset heart rate. So ventricular tachycardia high, right, it will tell you that your rate is 185. If the simulator has a Codemaster or HeartSim pads connector, the rate will be 220. So that's why it's 220 here, right? Because we do have those pads. If we put ventricular tachycardia low, the rate should be at about 140. So we will see the change in the rhythm here. Right. The downside is that these heart rates are preset by the manufacturer, so you cannot adjust them. Right. You could basically click the rhythm and it will go. You only have a choice: 140 or 220. What if I wanted to do ventricular tachycardia at a rate of 110? Right, to test for hyperkalemia, and you wouldn't be able to do it. So can you do those specific adjustments? You could do that with this mannequin here, right? On the SYMPAD, right? If I wanted to dial in specific rate, I can do so. I have a separate video on that outlining how to connect this device and how to run a dynamic cardiology. I will link to those videos there. So specific heart rates, the dial in specific rates, you want to use the SYMPAD by Laerdal. This will give you that. This, however, will not, right? So let me just go over the functions of some of these buttons if you're not familiar. So let's say I wanted to perform defibrillation. So I'll put on ventricular tachycardia high, and this scenario you could say the student does not have a pulse, and they begin their CPR. So they'll put it at max joules. They will go ahead charge, right? And once they defibrillate, if your joule setting is above 50, you will see the discharge light up whenever the student performed this procedure, right? So there was successful defibrillation sensed. Now, if you want to perform synchronized cardioversion, right, we essentially engage our dial at 100 joules, click sync, so we see it's flagging the rhythm. However, what this SYMBIO SC1201 allows you to do is you can press this button, convert, and then select a rhythm that you want it automatically to convert to, and students will actually see that conversion on the monitor. So I basically press this button, and you see this became brighter and it's blinking. So now let's say I wanted to go to sinus rhythm, and now the sinus rhythm will blink, right? So this is your original rhythm, ventricular tachycardia high, and then normal sinus rhythm will blink. The moment it detects, right, that the at least 50 joules were delivered, it will change to normal sinus. So I'm going to go ahead charge, right? And then looking at here, right, as I delivered the shock, you notice, right, it changed to normal sinus, and I see that conversion on my rhythm, right? So the benefit of using the convert button is that you could preset to the rhythm you want to convert. If you want to cancel it, you just press the convert button again. So if, let's say, I had this convert to normal sinus and I wanted to cancel it, I'll just press the convert button. It will shut it off. Or another thing you can do is press the original rhythm, and it will cancel it out. So this is the conversion button. The next button that I want to familiarize you to is the capture button. So this is for performing transcutaneous pacing. So let me put a 3rd-degree heart block. And here, when you turn on the unit, the capture level will be at level 1. So that's 65 to 70 milliamps. So that's the threshold that you need to come to in order to get electrical capture. Level 2 would be 75 to 80, level 3, 85 to 90, and level 4 would be 95 to 100. So this is basically if you want to test the students that they're able to obtain electrical capture. So how will this work? So you have a 3rd-degree heart block, right? And let me click it once, so it goes to level 2. One click, level 2, 75 to 80. So I click capture once. You notice this became brighter. Then I'm going to go ahead and engage my pacer. I usually tell the students you want to be at a rate of 20 to 30 above the inherent heart rate. So here, let's set our pacer rate to 70 beats per minute. So 70. I'm going to see that it's flagging my rhythm. If this wasn't showing me, right, good R wave amplitude, all you can do is basically select your display waves, wave 1. Right? Let's say we want lead 2, but what I can do is I can increase the size of it. So I can make it times 2, times 4. So let's say if I make it times 2, you see it will make it bigger. So now it's able to detect that R wave, right? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start pacing. So I start pacing, and right, you see my pacemaker is functional. However, I don't have electrical capture. I'm going to increase my milliamps. And if we are in level 2, we should get it between 75 and 80. So let me go to 75. All right, 70, I still see no capture. 75. I still see no capture. 80. right? At 80, I'm seeing capture, right? So you see the spike and the appropriate QRS morphology. What you can do is you can go down 5 to deliver the least amount, and I lose capture. So I know 80 would be my correct setting to get electrical capture. And now you notice the pacer impulse is blinking to indicate that it is in fact functional and it's able to pace. So here, level 1, 2, 3, and 4 with different settings, and how you cycle through them. You basically just press capture, it will go to the next mode. If you turn off the unit, it will cycle back to the default mode, which will be level 1. Right? So this is how you would employ this device with all these features. And again, as I said, the benefit of this monitor is that the student can learn, right, the operations of any type of defibrillator. Let me just show you how to do a 12 lead on this. So let me turn off the pacemaker off, right? And let's go. So at the bottom, you will see it says here, acute myocardial infarction, PVCs, right? And all these things here. So how would you would do a 12 lead EKG? So let's say for the initial one, we had ventricular tachycardia and student were performing synchronized cardioversion. So what I could do is say, right, we're going to convert, right, to sinus rhythm, and then they would want to do a 12 lead EKG. So students will synchronize, right? They will charge. Everyone's clear. They delivered the shock, right? You see that conversion. It goes to sinus rhythm, right? And then let's say the student wants to do a 12 lead ECG, right? So I go back to my monitor mode. I select the 12 lead. And you already see the 12 lead appears because all my leads are already pre-connected, right? You will tell them the age of the patient. So they'll click Start Acquire. Let's say the patient is 65 years old, right, male. And once it acquires, it will automatically print the 12 lead EKG, and they could interpret. So here they have this rhythm. It's AMI with PVCs, right? It's right here. So sinus rhythm with acute AMI with PVCs, Q waves in anterior leads, ST elevation rate of 72, right? So it flags this as acute MI, and the 12 lead comes out. Just be aware, some of these rhythms, they do not have associated reciprocal changes with them. What that means is that you will have ST segment elevations in the leads they tell you, but you may not see those depressions, right? So let's say you have elevations in your anterior leads, you may not see the reciprocal changes, right? Or same thing, if you have inferior wall MI, you may not see reciprocal changes in your lateral leads. Here we see, right, the 12 lead, we see some PVCs here, and we definitely see elevations, right, in your anterior leads. Right here, you see them. And you could basically, a good way to do this if you're teaching the students, take another strip of paper, take a pen, and then what I usually do is I lay down, right, the 12 lead ECG, and I take another piece of paper. I find my T2P segment, which is this one. T2P segment, and I basically draw a line, right? I draw a line through this, and then you could count how many boxes, 1, 2, 3, right? Boxes, ST segment elevation, and you could point out in all leads where you see that and have them count the millimeters of elevation. So this is how you would employ the SC1201 monitor with the Philips, right? If you were using the LifePack, all you need to do is basically have this converter there. All right, so let me move on and show how to employ the other devices. Right? So here I have SYMBIO SC301. So what's the difference between this device and the one I just showed you? The difference is, first of all, right, this can only work with LifePack 12. It doesn't have the appropriate cable that you could switch out. The next thing, this trainer is only able to do the 3-lead simulation, right? So you can only apply limb leads. So when it's connected, you turn this on, right? And it's right away normal sinus rhythm, and you see the rhythm appearing. So because it's connected to the pads, right, and leads, you could perform all your electrical therapy. So if we put ventricular fibrillation, right, and you'll see the conversion, you could essentially, right, have it be able to defibrillate. This will accept 360 joules for the shock. However, what you want to be cognizant, you don't want to deliver more than 3 shocks in 1 minute time frame. So no more than 3 shocks in 1 minute time frame, but it can go up to 360. So we charge. And they tell you, right, for this, whenever you're conducting this, you don't want to hold this because you don't want to get electrocuted. So that's the manufacturer's recommendations, right? So put us down. It certainly can convert. So if we wanted to go from ventricular tachycardia, I click convert. You see it's blinking. So let's go to normal sinus rhythm. All right. So again, we go energy select 360. So let's actually do synchronized cardioversion here. Sync. All right, flagging, charge. So once I deliver it, it should go to normal sinus. Right. Normal sinus delivered. Right, and you see it converted to sinus rhythm. Right. So the functionality of this device is pretty much similar to this one. It's just it does not do a total Lead Ekg, and you can only use it with LifePak 12. All right, so what's the next one that I want to show you? The next one that I want to show you is this rhythm simulator. It's made by Laerdal, right? It's called HeartSim 200. HeartSim 200. So very important thing, and we actually put stickers so that you guys are aware when this is done. So if you're LifePak 12, right, the leads are as follows, right? So you're going to put right arm, left leg, right leg. You are ignoring what is printed here. However, if you are using your Philips, you are following whatever is written here. So since I'm using a LifePak to show you this, I got my limb leads, and we're going to follow what the sticker says. Otherwise, you're not going to have a rhythm displayed. So if you're a LifePak 12, right, first is going to be right arm. The next one is going to be left leg. And the last one will be right leg. So I specifically ignoring what's printed here for LifePak 12. This lead you do not need. The other thing you notice, right, there's no place on this device that I connect my pads to. So I cannot deliver electrical therapy with this device alone. I need to have something else, and I'll show you what you need. So we power this one, and it will right away go to Sinus Rhythm. So you have all types of rhythms here. So the benefit of this is that when the students are learning EKG interpretation, you can essentially go through different rhythms, way more rhythms than these generators have. And you could explain, right, the particulars. Again, you're going to be preset into the rates that the manufacturer has set them to. I will also put instructions for this device in the description, right? And you notice, right, I only see lead 2, and the other leads are not displayed. So one way you could remedy this is basically make all leads lead 2. And now you have everything displayed. Right, so everything is lead 2, and you could essentially change through your rhythms, right? And you see, right, the appropriate rhythms now show up on your monitor. You also have infant rhythms. The rates will be higher than the rhythms for the adults. Now, so let's say you wanted to employ this device. However, you notice, right, I don't have the electrical pad. So what can you do? So what you're going to do is as follows. You're going to take this mannequin here. You're going to get your pads that will essentially connect, right, to your mannequin like so. And this device will be essentially connected like that. You do need, right, your adapter cables. So once I am here, I'm going to go ahead and connect them. Make sure you follow the diagrams, and what you want to also train the students to do, you want to hear this audible click. Right? If you do not hear the audible click, it's not going to function. So you're going to tell the students have in practice. So let's say I'm going to change this to ventricular fibrillation. So we see ventricular fibrillation. So let's see now if I'm able to deliver, right, the fibrillation here. So you see it says connect pads, right? And sometimes this can occur if you have poor connections, right? So make sure you double check as I just told you, right? So double check your connections, and now it's functional. So now that I have connected this to my mannequin, I'm now able to deliver, right, or all the electrical therapy. We don't want the students verbalize this. This is very important that they learn the controls. This is why we practice doing this, right? So here, right, you will see all the rhythms and all the therapies that they can perform. Now, the best way to have the students learn is, what I would personally do is, if we're using this device, I would connect my monitor like so, right? These pads will be here by the mannequin, and they'll be disconnected when the student comes to your station. And then what I will do is I'll take another, right, a 3 lead from another monitor, like here. And what I would do is I would hide this device like so, right? You can put it in the back, it doesn't matter. Make sure that it doesn't come loose. And then what you do is that you place these limb leads on your mannequin, right? Why is this important? The reason why this is important is because you're employing the actual limb leads here so that the rhythm runs, but then the student doesn't have the benefit of placing the limb leads. And as I said, a lot of times I see when I do the stations, the students come in, they just place these on, and they're not sure why they cannot perform electrical therapy. So this cannot sense and provide electrical therapy. The other thing I noticed, improper placement of this limb leads. So the best way you could train your students when they're here, you could say, right, salt, pepper, ketchup, relish. So salt, and you want this to definitely click. Salt, pepper, ketchup, relish. And the reason why I wanted to associate with this mnemonic, if you will, is that on testing, they'll be so nervous, they'll forget right arm, left arm, and they'll be staring at these leads, not knowing where they should be going and placing them inappropriately. So salt, pepper, ketchup, relish, right, in clockwise manner. Have them actually hear this audible clicking, right? If they don't hear the click, right, it did not connect. And then sometimes it will still say, right, pads are not connected, right? So let's see, right? So then have the students double check that they clicked on both ends and it's actually functional, right? Right, and here you can deliver, right? So these rhythm generators or task trainers are quickly, you can employ them to teach them how to use the controls of the monitors you have in your program. You can teach the students how to defibrillate, cardiovert, and pace, run a 12 Lead Ekg with this device fairly quickly. You don't need to have the whole setup here, right? If you're just trying to teach them the controls of the monitor. However, when they're practicing and being tested for dynamic cardiology, 100% you want to get these mannequins out. If you do not have this type of mannequin, you have a mannequin where they can apply the leads, right? You could even have these, right, being placed on the patient. As long as they go through that psychomotor phase where they're actually applying it and you're seeing them do it, and you can correct, right, if they're placing it improperly. So sometimes you will see even these placed improperly, right? They'll place it on the belly like so. So you have to correct them, right? You have to say below the clavicle and mid axillary line so that the placement is correct. If you don't do this and you have students sit on the chair and verbalize all the electrical therapies while you're running something on the screen here, the student gets zero benefit of actually learning the skill because they're verbalizing it, they're not running the controls, and whenever they're going to be tested on the actual skill for the state exam or national registry, they will not be ready for the station because if I sit in a chair and I verbalize everything, how am I going to able to control this and deliver, right, the appropriate therapy when I'm being tested? And the final thing, right, once they learn all these tasks, right, on these task trainers, you could essentially tie it all together, right, into your scenario, right, employing this mannequin here, right, the Laerdal SYMPAD, and I have a video of how to connect this, and then you have fine controls of your rhythms, right? You could have AFib to be Brady, AFib to be regular, AFib to be right and above 150. So this is important, right? So if I have a patient who is symptomatic, ultimental status shows shows rhythm of 50 atrial fibrillation, and the student performs synchronized cardioversion, you have to explain to them, right? So AFib can come in all different shapes and forms, and you need to treat the patient. You don't treat the monitor, and in that case, maybe the pacing would have been the appropriate therapy as opposed to synchronized cardioversion. So this is excellent for your scenarios. These are good for your task trainer skills. However, if you're in a bind and you don't have all the equipment or other instructors doing the same station, you could basically MacGyver it, right, with these cables, with this device, or even these devices, and run your dynamic cardiology station.